Cache County, can you hear us? Okay, will you say something just to make sure we can hear you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Are you ready, Robert?
Yes, I'm ready.
On record.
Okay, good afternoon. This is the time and place set for an original hearing for Mr. Jesse Lee SAMORA, offender number 212902. Is that you, sir?
Yes, it is.
Mr. SAMORA, good afternoon. My name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer for the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole.
Good afternoon.
You're going to be providing your testimony, so I'll need to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. SAMORA, did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over it?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Was there anything wrong in that information, or can we move forward?
We can move forward.
Okay. So let's see here. You were seen previously by the board. Actually, you weren't. Your original hearing was continued. And this hearing was put on the docket for May of 2025. And they wanted a sex offender treatment memo and an updated institutional progress report and an LSR&R due to the board prior to this hearing. Any restitution owes returned to the court for determination. You had a pre-original hearing SOTP risk assessment, and they assessed you as being well above average risk to reoffend. Okay. You're here for case 211-700-958, one count of lewdness, first or second offense, a third-degree felony, and then case 221-902-196, failure to register as a sex offender, a third-degree felony. So you were employed by a company. You used their tools to cut off your electronic monitor. You've been absconded. You tried to get your job back. They probably weren't able to give that back to you. You ended up contacting a female employee there, and through the internet, you sent her a picture of your penis. And then it was determined that you had not registered or re-registered with the sex offender registry, and you were arrested and convicted for that also. So, Mr. SAMORA, what was going on? Why did you do that?
I was going through a lot of emotional stress. I first got out of the halfway house and I went to go live with my parents. They wanted to get a divorce, so they put me in the middle, always taking out on me. My father was passing the red lights, being impatient in grocery stores. My mother tried to pick a fight with anybody, so I'm there. I tried to go out, train in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai boxing to relieve stress. I wrote in my journal, and it still wasn't enough, so I got charged with domestic violence after domestic violence. At that moment where when I get mad or stressed, I get to that point where I don't care anymore. So I act out on sending pictures. And then afterward, I feel bad afterward for sending them. I feel embarrassed. And then after I started to live with my roommate, with the sex offender registry, I called the lady there. She set up an appointment to come in on Wednesday, but she said Tuesday, so that was a big old huge confusing thing. And then I got charged with violating not registering.
What was the discrepancy in the time frame? Was it like a day, a couple of days, a week? What are we looking at?
Of the registry,
Yes, sir.
it was about a day. So
Really, they
originally,
violated it on
it
a
was,
day?
yes. So originally, she made the appointment on Wednesday to come in. And when I got there, she said that I was supposed to come in on Tuesday. So when I went, she wasn't there. So, and then I had to remake another appointment, and then they said they put a warrant out for my arrest.
Okay. What are your release plans?
My release plans.
Yes, sir.
I went through a program called Captain of Your Story. So I want to call Josh and Amy to help me out further with my vision. So with my vision, I want to start my own business. I originally started to make.
Let's start with the basics. I'm sorry.
Okay, the basics
When you get
is
out,
completing the SOTP program. I was hoping I can take it on the outs at the halfway house. I want to get Medicaid. I want to go through Pater, get a job so I can pay for everything. Let's see, get back into programming if I can. Go to Weaver Human Services so I can get my antidepressants and do therapy too if I need that again. Call Amy and Josh to help me with that. And then what was the other thing I'm trying to think of? Get back in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. Starting with my hobby, making biodegradable wallets when I was living with my roommate. Buy more materials, stuff like that.
where will you live?
I'll be living in Ogden
Who with?
with Michael Dean, my roommate.
This was the individual that you were living with before you were arrested.
Yes, sir.
What will you do for work?
For work, I was a cherry picker, so I'm gonna try to see if I can find anything with forklift wise. So I'll start with the temp services there, and then I can probably work whatever they give me for now, and then hopefully I can find a cherry picking job through them, through resource technology.
When you say cherry picker, you're referring to the scissor vehicle that raises you up and down, or a fruit harvester?
It's actually stand up and sit down forklifts. So we do
Okay.
shipping orders.
That makes a little bit more sense. Okay. So what does change look like to you?
Change is by how you think, how you carry yourself, on how you look, body, physically, and how you think. It's when you have so many old programming for so many years that it starts to become, faulty decisions, poor judgment. So looking at validation for people that are just trying to use it for intimidation, manipulation, prejudice, stuff like that. I used to be that way, and I'm not that way anymore. I started up to looking at high risk situations, critical thinking, cognitive awareness, anger management. I started to go with Captain of Your Story to help me with my window of tolerance, my circle of concern. Let's see if I remember correctly. financial literacy so I can get more, build my credit up and stuff like that.
Those all sound like very, very good things. I like the jujitsu part of it, like a healthy body is a healthy mind. And I know jujitsu, you learn a lot of discipline from, and you also, excuse the term here, but you take some lumps. So
Yes.
you get with people who are more skilled than you, and they put you in some submissions, and you learn from that. That's a good thing.
For me, what my instructor taught me is that everything that you're going through, fear, doubt, it may be what you're going through spiraling downhill. It may seem bigger than you, but you're taking people down that are bigger than you. It's the same concept as for your problems.
Okay, very good. I think that's a very healthy thing for you to work on. So that's good.
Thank you.
You've been very successful in programming. You've remained CAP compliant, and you've completed most of your attempts as far as taking classes in programming. Your primary CAP is sex offender, and you completed your assessment in 5/2 of 2023. So that's very good. Have you taken any SOTP core classes yet, or been enrolled in a program?
No, I've been in SO4.
Oh, okay. So that's
For
a
my-
housing thing?
Yes, sir.
Safety issue? Yeah.
Yes, I've been in SO4 for my safety. My brother got jumped in general population by Serenios and white boys. It was gang related. So I told, when I first came to prison, I told them the whole situation. So that's why they put me as an SO4. So it's just because for my safety concern.
Was your brother gang associated?
He was.
Okay. Is there going to be a situation like if you are moved to a different county with an SO program where you'll be able to safely complete that training?
Wherever I go, I can adapt.
Okay.
But I like to recommend the SOTP program at the halfway house just because I know the therapists there. I don't like to go through another therapist to talk about my past and my traumatic events that happened to me. I know Kenyatta, I know Shay, Tiffany. So that's why I like to go there to talk to them, because when I was on the outs and I was going through a lot of stuff, I talked to Kenyatta off the books, and he helped me out a lot.
I'm going to be very real with you.
Yes.
Looking at your LSR and R, there's a lot of scores that are concerning as far as your risk goes, and that you scored well above average for reoffense. I don't know if the board's going to be inclined to have you complete SOTP in the community, even at a halfway house. I'm going to put to them that you would like to do that and the reasons why, and we'll leave the decision up to them, okay? But I just want to tell you, give you the information so there won't be any surprises.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So are you still running with the Norteños, or
No, sir.
when did you stop?
Originally, I stopped in 2010. I got jumped out, but they said it wasn't official. This is my second commitment, so I went to the Step Up program.
Okay.
So from there, we as a community, it doesn't matter what you heard, done, or earned. We are all here as a community to help each other to build tools to stay out of the gang life. So that's what we did.
I appreciate that. I imagine that is not an easy decision to come to. And I have a lot of respect for you in doing that.
Thank you. It's been difficult for me also.
I can only imagine. Okay. Let me make sure I've asked everything that I need to. Were you using marijuana at the time you failed to register or abscond?
No.
When was the last time that you used?
Let me see if I remember correctly. When I was living with my roommate. But it wasn't
So-
like every. I had
Okay.
my medical marijuana card.
Were you on supervision at the time, or were you just? Okay. Are you still taking citalopram?
Yes, I am.
Is that working okay for you?
It actually has. I can think better. My mood is not as, how could I say it? Shifting, I guess you could say. I don't get mad as easily. I'm more reasonable with people. I haven't gotten in trouble, not since I got those write-ups, so.
Do you think your mental health will be a hindrance to successful parole?
I've been diagnosed with depression, anxiety. So I've been taking the citalopram for that. It's been helping me a lot, and I don't think it will be an issue as long as I'm still on my antidepressants.
Okay. When did you start experiencing your depression and anxiety?
I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety in 2020 in vocational rehab. I went to go see a specialist through vocational rehab. My sponsor name was John Trenton.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go see a specialist, and they diagnosed me with depression and anxiety.
All right. I'm glad that you're getting help with that. That's not only for a successful parole, but just so you can have your life.
Yes, I've never, when I was on depression, it's been to the point where I never want to do anything. I don't associate with no one, none of my friends. I'm always at home all the time. I start stuff and don't finish it. So that's just the part of my life where I'm getting, I wanted to get help for it. And that's what I started to do.
Okay.
I went through Weaver Human Services. I started to talk to a therapist. He gave me citalopram to put me on. So.
Good. Very good. Okay. You've answered all my questions, and I appreciate that very much. What happens next is I'll get my report and recommendation to the board by the end of the day this Thursday. Now,
Okay.
I'm a hearing officer and not a board member, but the board takes my recommendation under advisement. The board's made up of 5 people, and it's a majority rule. So when 3 board members in agreement, that will be their decision. And it's been taking them approximately 2.5 weeks to get the decisions to you in the mail. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you,
Do you
sir.
have, you're very welcome. Good day.
Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. You too.
Emory County, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On record.
This is the time and place set for an original hearing for Mr. Jacob Douglas Stevenson, offender number 251612. Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stevenson, good afternoon. My name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer for the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. You'll be providing a testimony, so I'll need to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over it?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, thank you. Was there anything wrong in that information, or can we move forward?
No, we can move forward.
Okay. So we're here for 4 separate cases today, Mr. Stevenson. Case 201-800-079, dealing in materials harmful to a minor, a third-degree felony. Case 201-800-109, another case of dealing in harmful materials to a minor, a third-degree felony. Case 201-800-080, sexual exploitation of a minor, a third-degree felony. And then finally, case 201-800-081, forcible sex abuse, a second-degree felony. In case ending in 0079, GT, a 17-year-old female, disclosed she had received images of Mr. Stevenson's genitals, and she had sent nude pictures of herself to him after being pressured into doing so. In February of 2020, he met GT in Bluebell and told her to get into the back of his truck because he didn't want anyone to see them together. Mr. Stevenson drove GT to another location in Bluebell where he forced her to perform oral sex on him. Between the months of February and October of 2019, a 17-year-old female BW received images of Mr. Stevenson's genitals, and she sent nude images of herself to him after being pressured to do so. On another occasion, he picked BW up from her friend's home and drove her to his residence where he had sexual intercourse. Also in October of 2019, Mr. Stevenson called BW and told her he just wanted to talk to her. They met at a top stop west of Roosevelt. BW reported that once inside his vehicle, he pulled her across the seat and had intercourse with her. She stated she told him to stop. She was able to get away from him, and she drove herself home. KF, the 16-year-old female, disclosed that sometime in late September or October of 2019 on a Sunday that she was walking into church in Altamont. She stated Mr. Stevenson was sitting in the parking lot of the church and got her attention by calling her name. KF walked to his truck and the defendant told her to get in, and he locked the door. She stated that he forced her to perform oral sex on him, then told her to get out of his truck. So what can you tell me about all those situations, sir?
First of all, I would just like to say that I'm sorry to my victims, to anyone that has been caused any harm by my crimes. I know that my crimes are wrong. I know that it was wrong of me. I should have been mature and responsible enough to avoid these situations, to seek help, and to be humble enough to realize I needed help, and to to accept it, to lean on support, social support that I had, and still have to have confidence in them to make sure that I could have received the help I needed before these events could have occurred. Is it, I'm sorry, is there a more specific answer that you'd like? Sorry.
No, I'm looking for the truth and for an honest explanation, and I feel like
Yes,
you've
sir.
given me that. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear that you feel bad about it, as you should. That not only do you have remorse, but you had some form of empathy for the victims. I think that's very important, especially when it comes down to treatment and therapy. What is the age frame that you're sexually attracted to of women?
Personally, my belief is that I'm attracted to, 18-plus-year-old women. I know due to these crimes and the circumstances that are shown here, you could disagree, and I wouldn't fault anyone for thinking that. I know I expressed with my therapist, Jared Hill, that I didn't focus on minor victims. That wasn't my goal. I do believe that I made some very impulsive decisions that I did not think of the consequences for myself or for anyone involved. I don't believe I put any thought into how it would make them feel or the implications of really my actions. I do believe that I am attracted to, of age, mature women, and at that time, I didn't at all think morally or thoughtfully at all about the women or girls that I was being social with at that time.
So do you have an attraction to younger girls then?
I honestly don't think so, sir. I know that, discussing this with my therapist, he said, that it's normal for men to be attracted to girls and women who are of a mature state. The difference is we have to avoid any kind of interaction with that, and when we start to feel any kind of a triggering event, we have to use the skills we've learned to avoid those situations. And I believe that after going through therapy and practicing these skills, I don't view underage women at all in a sexual manner. I believe I've really practiced those skills and matured a lot, and I know that my crimes are wrong. I know that without a doubt, and I will forever be sorry for that. And I know I've worked really hard to move forward and to do the things necessary that I've learned through therapy to not be attracted to minor victims.
Okay. So communities are not in jeopardy if you're paroled?
I'm sorry, sir. It cut out, right? Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. The community and society in general is not going to be in jeopardy if you're paroled?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So why were you sending nude pictures of yourself and getting them from the victims?
I believe, personally, that I wasn't happy as a person. I really focused on having other people around to make me feel happy, to have that sense of fulfillment, and I seeked vulnerable people that were willing to send me those pictures to make myself to fill a void that I felt like was lacking. And truthfully, I should have went to someone I trusted or to a therapist and asked for help, and got the help I needed before it got to that point.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty cognizant about that now. One of the victims attended counseling for 6 months after the incident. It's affected her relationship with her father and other members of her family. Another victim had been impacted emotionally and experienced serious self-esteem difficulties. She's also been in counseling to deal with the emotional trauma that was caused. How do you feel about that?
It makes me feel awful. I know that there's nothing I can do to take back anything that has happened in my past. All that I can do is move forward and try and be a better person now. But this isn't about me. This is about them. And I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to them. I'm sorry to their families. I never meant for any of this to go the way it did. I was selfish and immature and irresponsible, and I know that there's nothing I can say or anything I can do to change how they feel. The only thing that I feel like I can do is apologize and apologize again, and know that it does weigh heavy on my heart to know how this has affected the people involved and their families. And I just want to say that I'm sorry.
Okay. I feel like that's very important, especially in moving forward in life, and understanding what's been caused to the victims and to their families. Your risk needs assessment, you score low on everything except for companions, which is a medium. And I wonder if that's because you're in prison and surrounded by more of a negative crowd. Your overall score is a low. You've completed sex offender treatment. It's recommended that you participate in continued care afterwards when you're on parole. So that's good. You don't really have a criminal history on these crimes. You've never been on supervision before, meaning probation or parole or private probation. It doesn't appear that you had any legal dealings when you were a minor. So this is it's very shocking. Have you used any drugs or alcohol in the past?
I have, yes. I've used alcohol frequently, more of a social thing than anything. At times, I feel like it was out of line. As far as drugs go, the only time I ever used drugs was during the under the influence of alcohol, which I have zero desire to participate in any of that. It's not a part of my life anymore, and it won't be. I have no interest at all in drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I want to live a sober, clean life.
What did you use when you were drinking?
I smoked marijuana a couple of times, and someone said they had cocaine, and I had tried that once before, but I'm truly not sure what it was.
Okay. So you have no alcohol or drug issues, really?
No, sir.
Were you drinking when this happened, or
No, sir.
were you so?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off right there. Apologize.
You're totally fine. No worries. Talk to me about your mental health. How are you feeling? How were you feeling when you committed the crimes? How are you feeling now?
When I committed my crimes, truthfully, I was not in a good spot mentally. Very, I would say depressed, unsure of myself, frustrated with myself, angry at myself for the choices I was making. I wasn't happy. I pretended to be happy around people and could make other people laugh, but I believe it was a mask. Now, I truly do feel that I know what I want out of life. I know that I've made a lot of positive changes since being incarcerated to be happy waking up each day here, and being a positive example for others around me and for my family, to try and show that I'm not proud of coming here or being here, but I am making strides to become a better person each day, and that I can wake up and be happy here and know that I still have a lot of good to offer myself and my community and society someday.
Do you suffer from any depression or any anxiety or anything like that?
I believe so. I've never been diagnosed, but I kind of talked to my therapist during SOTP, and he felt like I probably had those things in the past, but from what he could tell, he thought that I was doing well. But if I ever felt like I was getting back to that spot, I needed to take it upon myself to seek help, which I would gladly do.
So you're not taking any meds or anything like that?
No, sir, I haven't taken any meds ever actually for anything like that.
You've done really well in programming. You've done very well. You've completed everything you've started. You completed SOTP, you've completed MRT, anger management, some vocational training, life skills classes. So you've been filling your time positively. I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Very good. You've also remained disciplinary free. So you've been doing everything that you're supposed to do in prison. I'm appreciative of that. Can you tell me what change looks like to you?
To me, change, I feel like a lot of people talk about change, and everybody wants to change. Everybody wants to find the good in themselves or quit a bad habit or anything like that. But really change, it's kind of the talk or walk the walk. You either do it or you don't. And you shouldn't do it for other people. You should do it for yourself. And if you're not doing it for yourself, you're not doing it for the right reasons. And I think it shows a lot about your character and who you want to be each day moving forward if you're an example of change instead of talking about change.
Do you have any specifics?
Sorry, I don't completely understand what you're asking.
So what does change? Yeah, you answered the question. You're fine. What do you feel is the most important thing that you need to change or that you have changed in your life?
I believe the most important thing that I have changed is thinking of others and also, in a way, myself before I make a decision. And that can be on a small or as broad of a scale as we want it to be, but really stopping and thinking of consequences and short-term, long-term, how it's going to affect me, how it'll affect other people, and really choosing to change and choosing the best way that meets for everyone. And I think just taking a second to really evaluate my choices and what I want to do each day has made a huge change in my life. And I'm able to avoid doing certain things that aren't as beneficial for other people, even though maybe it might help myself or vice versa. I believe that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Okay. My next question is, how do you avoid future crimes? But it seems like you've already answered that with your answers in the last two questions. What are your plans for release?
So I would like to go live with my grandparents. They have some property and some livestock and things, and they're getting a little bit older. So I would like to go live with them. I've talked to them about that. They're open and willing to help me in any way they can. But also, it's a very supportive environment that I'm surrounded by with my family. I have a great family, but they also expect me to keep myself accountable, and they hold me accountable as well. So that's a great thing for me, I believe. And then I have a couple of job opportunities that have been offered to me if I'm able to parole. And I think I would just choose the one that's best for me, the one that best fits my schedule as far as aftercare goes, and not focus so much about maybe making money or anything, more or less focus on what really makes me the happiest and what works best for me in my aftercare, and just getting back on my feet and being a contributing member to society.
Good. Very good. Okay, you've answered my questions, I believe. There's a couple more. What do you think, what parole conditions do you think you need?
As far as, well, I'm completely open to anything. I believe that any kind of class that I may be able to take through aftercare or anything else is beneficial to me. I can always learn something through those. As far as limitations, I know for myself that any limitations are fine with me. I'm not coming back to prison. I'm not gonna have any parole violations. I'm very confident in that. Any limitations that are set for me, I will follow. Any rules that are set for me, I will follow. I'm completely open to anything. As far as my opinion on something that I could take that would benefit me, could possibly be, you know, I would like to maybe go to an AA class or maybe take an alcohol class if that's some to remind me that that's not a good path for me. I know that in here we have a lot of goals, but once we're in the public, those things surround us all the time, and we have a choice whether to choose them or to choose ourselves. And I would say that that might be the only kind of a class that maybe would help, or really anything. I'm open to anything.
Okay, very good. I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate how open and frank you've been with me. I feel like you've been doing everything that's expected of you in the prison, as I said a minute ago. You are a low risk as far as your risk need assessment goes. Based off of talking with you, I have found that you will probably be successful on parole and hopefully be terminated from that and learn what you need to learn and move on in your life. That's what I hope for, and that's what I expect from you with all that. I feel like the hearing went very well, and I'm going to make a favorable recommendation to the board. The board's not bound by my recommendation, but they'll take it under advisement. They will look at my report that I've created and all the time that I spent preparing for this hearing, what we've talked about, and then they will make a decision. I've been taking them about 2.5 weeks to get the decisions back to you in the mail. And so we'll just wait until then. I wish you the best of luck, and I appreciate your patience today, and thank you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, go ahead and conclude.
I would, I just kind of wrote. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. No, you're fine.
I just like to say that I'm not proud of my crimes. I'm not proud nor happy that I've come to prison. I am thankful for what I've learned while being incarcerated. I really feel like I've tried to make the best use of my time while being here to help myself. I'm happy of that progress, although that doesn't change how my crimes have impacted my victims and their families, my family, and the community that I've lived in. I would like to say that I am sorry to all of you. I know this has not been easy for any of you, and I just want to say that I'm sorry. And to my victims, I hope that you found peace and comfort and happiness in your lives, and I wish you nothing but happiness. And I hope you know that I am truly sorry. I'm grateful for the skills I've learned in therapy with Jared Hill, and I will continue to apply those to my life if I'm able to parole. I would be very grateful for an opportunity to parole and show that I'm ready to be a positive and contributing member to society. And I just want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Very good. Okay. Again, I wish you the best of luck, and we'll go ahead and conclude.
Thank you, sir.
Emery County, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. On record.
Okay, this is the time and place set for an original hearing for Mr. Paul Timothy Stewart, defender number 230942. Is that you, sir?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Stewart, good afternoon. My name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer for the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. You'll be providing me with testimony, so I'll need to place you under oath.
Okay.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over that?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
I apologize. Did you get at least 10 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over that?
Yes, sir.
Was there anything wrong in that information, or can we move forward?
I didn't find anything wrong, no.
Okay. So we're here for one case. It's from 2016. It's 161-905-964. One count of forcible sodomy, a first-degree felony. One count of sexual exploitation of a minor, a second-degree felony, and then one more count of forcible sodomy, also a first-degree felony. Now in the plea bargain, six counts of forcible sodomy, all first-degree felonies, were dismissed with prejudice. 5 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, second-degree felonies, were dismissed with prejudice. 1 count of obstructing of justice, a secondary felony, was dismissed without prejudice. And 8 counts of voyeurism by an electronic equipment concealed or disguised, a Class A misdemeanor, were also all dismissed with prejudice. I found that there are no pending cases. On May 23rd of 2016, the victim's mother reported to police that her child had been sexually assaulted by Mr. Stewart. The mother found naked pictures of the victim's vagina on their shared computer, as well as pictures of a man putting his penis into the victim's mouth. The mother believed it was the victim's father, Mr. Stewart, and he later admitted to her that it was him. The mother and the victim left the house and reported the incident to the police. The mother gave permission for the police to enter the home and seize the computer. It was discovered that the images had been removed. Further search of the residence revealed that Mr. Stewart had written 3 apology letters which confirmed the reported information. During an interview with the victim, she revealed that Mr. Stewart began touching her buttocks and breasts over and under her clothing. She stated that she resisted, but he continued with the touching. The victim said that Mr. Stewart began filming her with a cell phone when she got out of the shower and when she was in her bedroom. She added this was all against her will. When the victim started having difficulties in school, Mr. Stewart would make her give him oral sex and would perform oral sex on her. This was also against her will. The last assault occurred when Mr. Stewart bent the victim over and attempted to have full intercourse with her. The victim moved around to prevent this from happening, so Mr. Stewart forced her to perform oral sex instead. Mr. Stewart threatened the victim that the sexual abuse would continue to happen if her grades did not improve. That's a lot to take in, sir. Why did you do this?
Well, I mean, at the time I was really addicted to pornography. And I was going through some mental health issues that I didn't really want to seek help for. I mean, there's nothing I can say to justify it. And yeah.
How do you feel about what you did, especially with what kind of trauma and damage you've caused the victim?
I hate myself a lot, actually.
There was a statement made when you were sentenced to Judge Treese. Did you have an opportunity to read that at sentencing?
Yes.
Okay. How did you feel about that?
It hurt. It was hard to hear, and I didn't feel good.
So are you attracted to young girls?
No, sir.
So help me understand why you picked your daughter to do this to.
There's nothing I can say to help anybody understand. I don't even understand it myself. It was a terrible thing that I wish every day I could take back.
Did you abuse her physically?
No.
What kind of emotions were you going through when you were abusing your daughter?
Well, I mean, I was in a state of depression, but like afterwards, I just extreme guilt. On several separate occasions, I contemplated suicide. I had a gun ready to go and just couldn't do it.
Why should you be given an opportunity at parole?
Well, I mean, I feel like I've completed what's been asked of me. And I mean, I've done a lot of contemplation in here. And I know that what I did was abhorrent. I certainly won't ever do anything like that again. I mean, I feel like I'm ready to be a productive member of society again.
The next section is about personal change.
Okay.
What does change look like for you?
Well, during SOTP, I learned how to have more empathy towards others. I learned how to communicate my thoughts and my feelings to other people appropriately. I learned how to recognize any risky thoughts I have and how to ask for help instead of bottling everything up. So as far as like my behaviors go, like that's the change I've made since being incarcerated.
Okay. In 2017, you had a disciplinary conviction for sexual misconduct. What happened?
Well, I don't really know, other than I was on my bed watching football. The officer that came by said that she could see my genitals through my shorts, or and that's I guess that's possible.
Was that something that you did on purpose?
No, sir.
Are you a threat to the community if released?
I'm not. No.
What are your release plans?
Well, I have a place to live with my sister in West Jordan. So I plan on paroling there if it's approved. I have a job offer working in a warehouse for a window company. I plan to accept that at least temporarily until I can find something I want to do more long term. And then I have longer term goals that involve getting into real estate, but those are probably far off until after parole.
How about aftercare?
Oh, I have a provider already selected. His name is Robert Banta.
Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn the time over to the victim's representative. The communication is meant to go to me and not to you, and there'll be no communication between the parties. After the statement or statements are done, you'll have an opportunity to respond if you choose to. And then after that, we'll go ahead and wind this up. Okay.
All right.
Can we have the victim turn their mic on and let me know who they are?
This is Madison Wild.
And Madison, are you the victim?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to be able to speak freely and speak your mind. Just communicate to me and not to him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and start with your statement?
Well, after everything happened with Paul and all that stuff, I have been going through some pretty extensive therapy. And it's traumatized me enough that like even the thought of going on a date like would send me into a panic attack. It wasn't until a couple months ago that I was even able to go on an actual date as a 24-year-old adult. And every day I am always like, I am always having that constant reminder of what he did to me. Sorry, that was my dog.
You're fine.
So, I also have my therapist here as well. If you'd like to hear from him as also.
We usually just do either the victim or the victim representative. So I think we'll hear from you today and you can say whatever you'd like.
Okay. But I, after being both physically and sexually abused by him, I would feel a lot more safer overall if he were to not be given parole.
Okay.
And I will, anytime I'm under any sort of stress or have any negative emotion, I will have nightmares about what he did to me and about like him possibly getting out and coming to finish the job.
I'm sorry for the pause. I'm just writing everything down.
You're okay.
Is there anything else you want to add? If there's not, we've got time. We can have your therapist speak.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Hi, this is Jade Mangus. I'm Madison's therapist. She's been doing a pretty good job working through therapy. We've been doing a lot of EMDR, but she's having a really difficult time even going through that process of going back into that moment to help with that de-escalation. And so she's made some progress, but she definitely is having a lot of difficulty with those memories. And as she says, she has a lot of reoccurring nightmares that have been very difficult for her to process through.
I'm not sure what to ask, and I'm not sure what's covered by privacy, so I'm not going to ask any follow-up questions to you. I will make sure that the board understands the difficulties that she's been suffering and that she does not support a release. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. So let me look and see real quick what we're looking at here. So he's over his guideline, but the guideline is just a recommendation. It's nothing that the board has to follow. They'll make their decision based off of the facts of the case, what you've had to deal with as far as the victim goes, kind of what your prognosis is for moving forward in your life, and your personal feelings about whether a parole should be granted or not. They'll also look at any type of disciplinary history in the prison and completion of programming. So those are the main things that the board will look at as far as making a decision. But your contribution today is very important for the board. I thank you for your bravery in speaking to us. I can't imagine what you're going through and what you have been going through. And I'm very appreciative of your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Stewart, is there a response that you want to make?
Yeah. First, I want to say that there's no excuse for what I did. I wouldn't want there to be. I don't have very many regrets in my life, but hurting my daughter is by far my biggest one. And I would give anything, I would give up anything just to take that back. And the pain that I have caused her and the rest of my family. I truly, truly hope that one day I'll be able to earn her forgiveness. Since I think I said this earlier, since my incarceration, I've learned a lot about my risk factors and effective ways of coping with them. I have also learned how to be a more goal-oriented person and be able to plan for the future. I think I would do well on parole. That's all.
Okay. So, Mr. Stewart, when you were committing these crimes against your daughter, had you been drinking or using any illegal drugs?
No.
You'd mentioned that you were inpatient for depression for a month back in '93, I think it was. Tell me about your mental health now.
Well, I feel like I'm in a much better place now. I've learned to, like I said, I've learned to recognize risky thoughts and challenge them and be able to get myself out of a bad state of mind. I've learned how to ask for help when I need it, instead of, shoving everything down and bottling it up. And I think I've got that pretty much under control.
Okay. Okay, you've answered all my questions. I'm appreciative of your time. What happens next is I'll get my report and recommendation of the board by the end of the day on Thursday. The board is a 5-person panel and it's a majority rule. So when 3 board members are in agreement, that will be their decision. I'm not a board member, I'm a hearing officer, so I make a recommendation and the board will take it under advisement. Ultimately, it will be their decision what happens next. It's been taking them approximately 2.5 weeks to get their decisions out in the mail. Now for the victim, you can log on to the board's website. I'd probably start checking it if you'd like 10, 11, 12 days from now, and they will list the decision. It will be in board decisions is what it's called, and just look under Mr. Stewart's name. It'll list what they decide as far as a parole goes, if he is granted one or not, and if he is, what kind of conditions that he has. Now, Mr. Stewart, if you are granted a parole, you will have a no contact condition with the victim. That means no contact, person to person, third party, electronically, or any contact, period. If it's discovered that there is contact or you've attempted to contact the victim, you'll be returned to prison immediately. That's something that I need to be very clear with you, that the board doesn't play around with that.
I understand.
Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to add for the ending, sir?
I don't. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and conclude. I thank all parties for their participation today. We'll go ahead and conclude.
Sir,
Yes,
did Rocky Rodriguez, did I miss his case?
I don't think so. We haven't had him yet.
Okay, I'll just stay on hold. Thank you.
Yep.
Rocky Rodriguez is after this hearing.
Yeah, the Rodriguez hearing will be after this one.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for your patience.
On record.
All right, good afternoon. This is the time and place set for an original hearing for Miss RENAE Thelma Sue Jean, offender number 262894. Is that you, sir? Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I usually only see men, so I'm not used to having a female hearing. I apologize for that. Well, Miss Jean, my name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer for the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. You'll be providing me a testimony today, so I'll need to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Jean, did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over it?
Yes, I did.
Was there anything wrong in that information, or can we move forward?
No, everything was correct.
Okay. So there are two cases we're going to talk about today. The first case is 235-700-040, one count of driving under the influence, the second offense within 10 years, a Class A misdemeanor. And then the second one is 231-700-121, one count of parental kidnapping. Now, I went over both cases, and I'm aware of the statements that you made in reference to the parental kidnapping. Can you get me up to speed on what happened with that case?
With the parental kidnapping?
Yes.
All I know is I was intoxicated, and that day I had court with DCFS at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I went into my house, grabbed a bottle because my husband passed like 2 years after all this happened. So I started alcohol. I never did drugs or alcohol till he passed, and my father passed before my husband did. So I did that, and then later that night they were underneath my mom's care, and I just had officers at my second house asking if they can search my house, and I was like, sure, go right ahead. So they searched on top, bottom, and everything. My kids weren't there. And then they were patrolling around because where I live is on Navajo reservation, but there's a county road that goes like 3/4 of a mile to half a mile. So they were on reservation, not the Navajo reservation. And then that's when I got up. I went to Colorado the next day, bought more alcohol, came back. DCFS got a hold of me and was like, can you come in? And I told them I wasn't in the right stable mode of me going in to their office at the time. So because at that time I was drinking, and the officers were driving around trying to look for my kids and everything still. And I was still intoxicated at my uncle's house. And next thing you know, at 5 o'clock came around, they all like county and sheriffs and city, they came to my uncle's house and told me my kids were present in the house because they seen me with my children, but I did not leave because I came back from Colorado at that time. And I didn't leave because I was intoxicated and I didn't have nobody to drive me around.
Okay. So was your mother still in having custody of the kids when they were found?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know who pressed charges because that's what I'm on my blue packet. I read it and everything, and it doesn't say who pressed charges. I'm pretty sure. I'm unsure right there because when I went to the San Juan County Jail, I was in the booking in the jail tank, and so the next day, when I got in, I knew the officer that took me in, and he told me that I was just going in for a PI, public intox, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, because I was so intoxicated. The main sheriff was there. His name was Lehigh. And all I remember is him reading the Miranda rights to me, and I drank the rest of my drink, and I told him what vehicle I was getting into because I was not going to argue or fight with him or nothing because I was already intoxicated. So I just got into one of the San Juan County Sheriff Department vehicles, and they told me to turn around, and they handcuffed me. And when I went to the Monticello County, the San Juan County Sheriff's Office in Monticello, Utah, I whipped in with the officer Workman at the time, and he told me that I was just getting charged for PI. And then the next day I talked to one of the sergeants because they put a paper in the cup pour thing, and then it had, you know, parental kidnapping, obstructive of justice, and intoxication.
So was your home just over the boundary from the reservation to the county?
No.
Were you on the reservation or?
Yes, I was on the reservation. It's
Oh.
a Navajo reservation, but there's a county road that runs straight through it. So the county road's only like 3/4 of a mile and everything. And I looked into it because I sat for the community as a vice president and everything. And we were not annexed into the city or anything because I went to the city office there in Blanding, and I was going through all the paperwork and everything to see if anyone had signed, because prior to that, my father was sitting on the board as a president for the community, and there was nothing signed because he had Xerox everything, and I had copies of everything. So I went back through his papers, and then I went to the city, and I was looking through all the papers and everything. There was nothing saying that the Navajo reservation that I was living on was not annexed into the city or anything.
Okay. Yeah, I understand a little bit of the complexities about jurisdiction between being on the reservation and being off. So I was kind of puzzled by who had jurisdiction of this. So, okay.
Yeah. But the San County Sheriff Department was, every time they were called, it was just the San Juan Sheriff Department that was always coming onto the reservation, because we are like not even a mile from the city limits.
I see. Is that from Monticello? Is that the city limits that you're talking about?
No, I live in Blanding. So
Okay,
Blanding, Utah. So the Navajo reservation, I don't know if you ever been there at the
3 days
the
ago.
college there. Okay. Well, there's a college and there's a canyon, and I live on the other side of that. And so like half of that canyon is city limits, and the other half it belongs to the Navajo Nation.
Okay. I'm familiar with it. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about your release plans. Where are you going to live? What are you going to do for work? If you're required to do any type of therapy or treatment, who are you going to do it with?
I would just like to go home and see my family and try to reunite with my kids again, because it's pretty hard for me right now because the state took over all my kids and they're with kinship right now. And they're going through a pretty rough time right now.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And my job, if I could go back to my nursing job with this felony on my background, I can't automatically go back to the job that I was doing. So I would have to look for something way less than what I was making before, like housekeeping or something. And Blanding's so small, so Moab is my best option because that's a tourist place, and that's an hour out of my way.
Yeah, that's kind of a drive.
Yeah, so I'd have to commute.
What about your drinking? How do we occurring?
I started that, I would say probably right after my husband had passed. That was just to numb my pain and everything. But I was still active doing sports with my kids and doing their activities in school. And all my platforms just all went downhill from after my husband and my father had passed.
So, how do we keep you from drinking?
Oh, right about, I know I can do it because I never did alcohol or drugs, but until, I mean, not but I mean, like, until they passed, that's when grief and everything just hit at the same time. So, that was the only thing that I was introduced to. And so I started, and that was my daily thing. But now coming to prison and everything is like a big eye opener and a changer for me, because this ain't my place. And while I'm here, I'm doing like a MRT class and a pre-substance class to keep myself busy.
You had a disciplinary back in January that said that you requested a urine sample, and it indicated it was positive. Can you tell me about that, please?
That I'm still trying to figure out like how I got that, because I was a constant user of THC. And so when I was doing my DCFS case and everything, I was still consuming THC because they were doing they were UA testing me as well.
Mhm. So were
And
you positive?
I was positive. They found me guilty for it, but I'm trying to figure out, like, because when I got to the prison back in November 6th, I did not consume anything.
Mm-hmm.
I did not consume nothing or anything, because right when I got into RNO, they call it RNO,
Right.
they did tests like 4 o'clock in the morning for us doing like UAs and everything. And I don't get how, I was not positive that time.
Okay. Miss Jean, tell me about your mental health. How are you doing?
Right now, I'm going through a lot because I'm not used to being behind walls or anything. I'm a outgoing person, I work, keep myself busy and everything. And with being behind these walls and everything, it put a lot of stress and anxiety and everything on me. So it's, yeah, it's not very good.
Are you seeing a therapist? Are you taking any meds, or how are you dealing with that?
Right when I came to the prison, I requested to talk to a doctor. I guess Dr. Gay was his name, and he prescribed me some anxiety medicine. And my sleeping was not good because I was up as well, and so he prescribed me some sleeping meds along with that.
Are you seeing a therapist right now?
No.
Okay. Do you feel that's something that would be beneficial for you, or are you comfortable just trying to figure it out on your own?
I got some. I have. Well, I shouldn't. I'm okay, depending if I need it or not. If you know, um,
How's your physical health doing?
just exercising in the section. That's all we can do. There's really nothing. They don't really make us go out or anything besides me working in the kitchen Monday through Friday from 5 to 1, 2 o'clock. That's the only physical health I have.
Um, will you be able to do parole if we grant you parole?
Yes.
You've got, you have no referred offenses, meaning you've got no offenses that you were sent to prison on. You've never been on probation or parole. You had some issues when you were younger. You had a possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia a couple of times, then your DUI and a public intox. So it seems like your THC was kind of an issue. Did you get a card eventually?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I was working on that before I ended up coming to prison.
Okay. Are cards recognized or issued on the reservation?
I would have to live here in the state of Utah for me to get it.
Okay.
Because the reservation is so big and you have to travel like pretty far for you to see a doctor, and that's an IHS type IHS hospital clinic thing that you would have to go through, or fine too, because it's pretty hard. You would have to drive out of your way.
I see. Is there any type of health care in the state of Utah on the reservation, or would you have to go to Arizona?
Blanding does not do it. I was looking into the one in Moab. There's one in Moab,
Oh, okay.
Utah. But yeah, I was looking into that there.
All right.
But there's a fee, and then if you're like on Medicaid or something, it's like $15 compared to you paying out of your pocket like almost $350, $400.
Okay. What questions do you have for me?
I just want to go home to save my place. I miss my family, my kids. I lost out on a lot. Lost a lot of loved ones while I was in here.
Okay. I'm just a hearing officer. I don't make decisions about parole. I make recommendations, and the board will take that under advisement. I will have my report and recommendation to the board by the end of the day Thursday. It's been taking them about 2.5 weeks to get their decisions out through inmate mail. So hopefully you'll get their decision sooner than later. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, I'm just gotta sit duck and wait like I've been doing. There's
Right.
really nothing I could do besides wait and get all the information through my caseworker.
Okay. As far as my part goes, I will get it to them as soon as possible. I understand you're waiting and you would like to have resolution. I understand that. So as far as my part goes, I'll do everything I can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and conclude.
Okay.
Uinta County, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah. I got my new speaker today. It should be coming.
On record.
Okay, this is the time and place set for rehearing for Mr. Rocky Rodriguez, offender number 162233. Is that you, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, my name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer with the Board of Pardons. You'll be providing me with testimony, so I'll need to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing? Did you get a blue packet and have time to go over it?
Yes, I did.
Was there anything wrong in that information, or can I move forward today?
You can move forward. There was nothing wrong with it.
Thank you. So I received a victim letter in the mail. Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, sir.
What did you think about that?
Honestly, it hurt to hear it, but I mean, it is what it is, you know, because I've taken accountability for my actions, and you know, it's I've grown, but yeah, it is what it is, you know. I read it and just, you know, had a lot to think about with it.
Have you completed substance use treatment?
I will be completed with it on June 19th. I'll graduate from it.
Okay. So between 2018 and 2024, you had 10 write-ups. You haven't had anything in over a year now, which is nice to see. Why were you having problems before?
I just, to be honest with you, I just didn't ever think I was going to get out of a prison. I didn't understand the six to life. I thought that I wasn't going to get out, and so I acted out. But then once I started getting fines and then getting lockdown, I kind of moved away from acting out, you know, and just started
Yeah, that'll
moving in
do
a
it.
positive way and then just growing from it.
So, are you a gang member?
I'm an ex-gang member.
Who did you used to run with?
Crib.
When did you quit?
2019.
Why did you quit?
It's just that it was a dead end and things were just getting out of hand. As you know, at the prison right now, things are just continue to get more violent. So it's just, I don't want to do something that would get me more charges. So I got out of there realizing that, you know, it was just a huge mistake.
Okay. So were you drinking when you got your charges?
Yes, I was.
If you're paroled, how do you keep from drinking?
Anything that, honestly, anything that will bring me back to prison is the last thing I want in my life. You know, when I get out, I want to continue some education that I got planned to do when I get out. If I do granted parole, you know, it's just, I don't want to come back to prison ever again. I want to parole successfully.
Are you planning to go to Missouri?
Not anymore. No, I am not going to do that no more.
Tell me about your release plans.
Granted parole, you know, just go home, get a job, get myself an education, get everything that I need, and just, you know, whatever that parole asking me to, you know, to complete and to do, but to work and just be, you know, as productive as I can and use everything that I've been, you know, I've learned in these programs that I've been doing,
Mhm.
you know, and just to prove that I can do on my own. Because the biggest thing that I've learned here is I don't want to rely on anybody. I want to prove that I can do it and I can just be as productive as I can to society.
What kind of work are you looking at?
Whatever I can get into. Mainly I like to do is, I know how to do is operate equipment and mining. But I'll do whatever comes available so I can get on my feet and going.
Where do you plan on living?
With my mother for the time being. I have a pretty good support system, you know, but mainly I'll be just with my mom and just to get on my feet, but I don't plan staying there too long. But I'll always let my parole officer and whoever know what my plans are to be if they do change.
Yeah, that's important. What about treatment?
If treatment is required, then I'll do it. But I honestly, I haven't touched anything. I have no dirty UAs, you know. Like I've said, I'm just done with everything. But I would like to see, I would try to get me my own a therapist just to continue, just in case anything, you know, like I see a therapist here at the jail, and like when I have like things, just talk about day-to-day things, and just I mean, when I feel out of the ordinary type of things, just everyday things.
Therapy is very good. Okay. You've had a lot of unsuccessful completions in classes. Why is that?
Just when things would happen at prison and hanging out with people that I shouldn't have, and just not taking things serious at that time. But I've taken MRT, I've taken different life skills here, and I've gotten, you know, certificates for doing them, and then the drug program, I'm the second class that's doing it here at Uintah County Jail, so I'll be done in June, like I've said.
Okay. So you're committing offenses for aggravated kidnapping as a first-degree felony. In the plea bargain, an ag assault, a third-degree felony, assault, a Class B misdemeanor, another assault, also Class B misdemeanor, and domestic violence in the presence of a child, a Class B misdemeanor, domestic violence, two more counts. In the presence of a child, were all dismissed, or you were found not guilty. So you were found to have assaulted your previous partner you had been in a long-time relationship with, and you'd had children together. When police found you, you were very emotional and acting very aggressive. So from what I understand, the relationship was ending, is that right?
Yeah, it's ended.
What were you so upset about?
Back then it was just probably when I was drinking it, and just, being a lot younger than I am now is just, I just honestly can't give the answer. Is like, it's at that moment, I can't even remember, it's something I've grown from though, is just how to deal with criticism and things that don't go my way is just the best thing is the skills I've learned,
Mhm. Okay, there's a victim that's here and wishes to make a statement. The statement is to be made to me. There's to be no interaction between the parties. You'll be provided an opportunity after the statement's been made to make a response if you'd like to, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Mitchell, would you like to make your statement?
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
I wish you would just please believe me. He's lying. And he says he's coming home to live with his mother. His brothers live with his mother, which are all felons. Like, he just lies, and he is got evil all written all over him. I really just don't want to live in fear for me and my children.
What else would you like to add?
He always told me he looked good in orange and he didn't care. I just don't want him out.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Rodriguez, what is your response?
I can understand where she's coming from, my past and when we were together. I kind of can tell you that I showed no interest in anything but myself at the time, but I've taken accountability for this, what I've done to her, and I've grown from it, but I can understand how she feels and why she feels that way. Here at this jail, I get text messages or to call my oldest boy, but I don't make an attempt to call him because I don't want, it's really hard because we have these boys together but I want to respect wishes because I don't want to come back to prison. I don't want to be in, I'm here. I put myself here. The first thing and foremost, I'm the one that's done it. It's taken me not that long to blame people but myself, to sit here and sometimes to realize like, that I haven't been a part of my boys' lives. She's done everything for them. They turned into great men because that how she just raised those boys up, because I have no credit to it. And I've said this before, I have no credit to my boys turning out how they have. I hear things here and there, but I do not try to reach out. It's just I want to respect wishes but I like I've said, I can understand where she's coming from. I've taken accountability for my crimes, but I've learned the tools to stay and respect the wishes and just to continue moving forward with my own life. Because like, I've said in the past that I'm not getting no younger, I need to start worrying about my future. But I want a future outside of these walls, and in these classes, I've applied myself to them, to the domestic violence classes, to drug programming, to doing things that are required of me, and but honestly, I can understand though.
Okay. So to be clear, there will be a no contact order in place if you're paroled. Any violation of that, whether it's person to person, third person, electronic, telephonic, whatever, you'll be returned to prison on. So I would encourage you to continue doing what you are doing. Move on with your life, and don't do this again. So this is a very horrific thing that you did, and it's caused a lot of issues for the victim, and also your children have suffered, whether you see that or not, from not having a father around. So I would encourage you to continue doing the right thing. If you don't, you'll end up back in prison. And you say that's not where you want to be. You need to keep that in mind. Okay. Let me make sure there's nothing else I need to ask. You don't really have much of a criminal history. What were you on probation for in the past?
I think it was an assault.
You were discharged from probation unsuccessfully. You were restarted once. What was the issue?
Just not taking it serious, just being incomplacent, just not taking it serious. Back then, it's just what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it. I was just really stupid back then and acted out. But it's most definitely not the same person who I am now. The biggest thing that I've learned is just taking accountability for my actions.
Okay. Have you completed DV?
What is that one? I should have it done at the same time as the drug program, because it's part of my cognitive behavior therapy. I think my therapist, the drug program itself, sent you a letter. I'm not too sure.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I believe that we've answered everything that the board's going to want to know. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, just if I'm granted parole, I plan really on to do anything that the board asks of me, and to just parole and have a successful life, and but like I've said before, as long, I'll always let my parole officer know what's going on at all times.
Okay. What will happen next is I'll get my report and recommendation to the board by the end of the day, Thursday. The board is a 5-person panel, and it's a majority rule. So when 3 board members are in agreement, that will be their decision. The board's not bound up by my recommendation, but they take it under advisement. It's been taking the board approximately 2 to 2.5 weeks to get the decisions out to you through inmate mail. Anything else, sir?
No, that's it. Thank you, though.
We'll go ahead and conclude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it pronounced OZETA?
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't have a big head. Is that loud enough?
On record.
Okay, this is the time and place set for rescission hearing for Mr. Adalberto OZETA, offender number 233577. Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. OZETA, my name is Robert Samuels. I'm a hearing officer for the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. You'll be providing me a testimony, so I'll need to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be truthful and accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you get at least 7 days prior notice of this hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything I need to be made aware of, or can we move forward?
We can move forward.
Okay, so you were given a contingency of no disciplinaries on March 11th of 2025. You were given a urinalysis which tested positive for Suboxone. You were found guilty of that by the IDHO. You were given a lockdown time, and you were fired from your job as a night janitor in Duchesne County. Okay, you completed substance use treatment, but you were convicted for a dirty. Tell me what was going on.
I just made a mistake, you know what I mean? I take full accountability for it. Yeah, it was just a moment of weakness, I can say. I was really nervous about the whole board thing, and I took something when I shouldn't have. It cost me my date, so I'm really remorseful about it, you know?
What were you nervous about? You'd already seen the board.
Just my date, just I haven't, you know, just waiting for the date to come back and stuff. And when it came back, it said contingent on no disciplinaries, and I had just got that dirty, so I got even more nervous. Yeah.
If we parole you again, which I'm guessing we will, how do you stay away from past associates?
I actually don't have any contact with anybody from my past life, I can say. I'm starting fresh. My family moved from Taylorsville, Utah up to Bountiful, so that's a whole new place, I can say. I don't know anybody up there. I'll have full employment as soon as I get out. My mom works at Amazon, so she says she can get me a job the day I get out. So I'll have that. I'll do any classes I have to do, just to stay out of trouble. Like, I'm not trying to come back.
Back in 24, you had a possession in the area of tobacco, drugs, alcohol. They found homemade alcohol in your tote. Why did you have that?
I attempted to make some hooch with my celly, and it didn't turn out whatever. It's just some events happened that night. Didn't get to throw away the bag, so that's what they found, was an empty bag with whatever was inside of it. I don't remember what's inside of it, but I mean, once again, it was I don't know, it was a moment. I messed up, you know. I shouldn't have done it.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. You've done very well in education. You've completed successfully every class that you've started. That's very impressive, sir. It seems to me that you really do want to stay out of trouble and get out and stay out. You have some solid release plans in place, and you've made a couple boneheaded decisions. I agree with that. As far as you getting into trouble, who influences you?
I guess just the old crowd, you know. I went through a phase, I lost my kids, and I just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. So I've been in contact with my baby mama, and she says I can be in my kid's life as long as I stay out of trouble. And that's actually a blessing, because before she said she wanted nothing to do with me. So now that I have something more to work for, you know, something to stay out of trouble for, I think I'll succeed, you know.
Were your crimes, did they have anything to do with drugs? Were you influenced by substances or?
Yeah. I believe so.
What are your triggers? What causes you to drink or use?
Just being bored, being not being with my kids. The people I hang out with.
So do you think that working and treatment or therapy will help you? Not only will it help you stay out of trouble, but it'll help keep your kids in your life. You agree with that?
Yeah. That's my main goal, keep a full-time job, you know, stay proactive. My family's Jehovah's Witness, so I'm planning on going to church again. I have 2 younger siblings. They go to the gym a lot. I plan to get a membership, just stay out of trouble, just have something to do all the time. Like I said, my baby mama said my kids could be in my life as long as I prove that I have a job and I can take care of them. So if I can have 1 job, 2 jobs, and that's, you know what I mean? Keeps me busy.
I think it needs to be well-rounded. If you're just working all the time, you're going to get burned out. I think you were smart and working full-time, not taking a second job, not unless you absolutely need to, and going to the gym and being with family and being there and spending time with your kids. That seems to me to be pretty healthy.
Okay.
All right. Why were you unsuccessful on probation?
I could say I had a lot of growing up to do. Back then, I just didn't want to quit the relationships I had. I didn't want to quit drugs. I just didn't want to be supervised. Well, as I've grown as this whole time in prison and stuff, it's changed my mindset. You know, like I said, I've cut ties with everybody that I used to know. I just want a clean slate. I just want to prove myself, prove to my family that I can stay out of trouble and be successful on parole.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me? Anything you'd like to add?
No.
I will get my report and recommendation to the board by the end of the day, Thursday. The board's a 5-person panel. It's a majority rule, so when 3 board members are in agreement, that will be their decision. They take my recommendation under advisement, but they'll come to their own conclusion. It's been taking about 2 weeks or so to get their decisions out in the mail to you. Don't freak out. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to recommend that you get a date back. I don't know when that will be yet. That's something that I have to sit down and think about, but you've been doing really well. You made a mistake. You owned it. So I appreciate that. And that counts for something in my opinion. So stay out of your head and keep doing what you're supposed to do. And you're going to be okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll go ahead and conclude. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.